4, just to prove something you already know or have guessed, it's not IFS only. Everyone is going to the cloud. So what is the cloud? What's included? If we look at SAP's website, they include cloud, trend number 1 in ERP, then mobile ERP, meaning different types of devices accessing the same data. Again, with Novacura Flow, you are in a good position because this is something that other has to sort of implement and buy in the cloud journey. Third trend at SAP is integration with AI and IoT. Paul showed it yesterday, Petter showed it yesterday. You already have the capabilities with Novacura Flow. So you're in a good position. Oracle, a bit more technical. Oracle has the integration services, they have the machine learning and AI as well, but they also have their own cloud. If you think about it, amongst the large ERP vendors, Oracle is the only one that has a history with sourcing databases and the technical infrastructure. IFS is buying that from Microsoft Azure. Infor is buying that from Amazon Web Services. They are not experts in SaaS. They spent their whole life building software. So for me, it's helpful to think about cloud as cloud technology and cloud processes. And I'll show you a bit later where they differ. So again, this comes with cloud. If I take the Infor world, which some of you know better, they ship their major releases every month, and they are pre-configured. And they also give some evidence from Gartner. All his vendors prove themselves with statements from Gartner, saying that this is growing, and we are among the leaders in this niche. But again, what happens with your technical solution out in the field, out on the oil rig at Odfjell that we saw yesterday, if the major software is changed every month? It's not doable. You need to keep control of your solution. You guys need to be the guardian of your solution that you bring to your organization in the frequency that you have decided, not someone else's. Okay? And of course, IFS, same story, same buzzwords, cloud, composable enterprise. This is a big buzzword. They hijacked this buzzword saying that all the components in the future composable architecture can come from IFS. That's not the intention here. The intention is actually to open up, to have open APIs and consume stuff from other softwares like Novacura Flow. IFS done one more thing. If you look at their website, they are actually saying that in order to consume our major product, you should have a low-code platform. So click on this one, have a look at that one. It's brilliant. The only thing that's missing is that it doesn't say this is Novacura. But everything else is actually what we do and what you can do with Novacura Flow. So the thinking here is that in order to consume more frequently standard software, or to consume standard software more frequently, updated more frequently, you need to have a local platform in order to fill the gaps. And we are not building things that are including in IFS standard release. If they are good enough, use them. Don't spend Novacura time to build things that are good enough in the ERP. But I'm not worried, not the least, that they will meet every single one of your requests and your demand, because your business is changing. Your people out there are working in a certain way. They need to have the tools at their fingertips that we can bring with Flow. Okay, quick tour. So all the vendors are going to cloud. The buzzwords are the same. We are coming back to some elements that you already have using Novacura Flow. This is interesting if you speak with some IFS people or other vendors in the room, because ERP will never be like native cloud elements that we know from our cell phones. Because these guys over here, they are built for cloud and they are consumed in a cloud manner, meaning that everyone has all the resources, and that cloud version is pushed out and everyone can consume it immediately. That will never happen in ERP. And some of you are unfortunately experienced the worst case of a cloud implementation, meaning that the vendor is hosting something and calling that a cloud solution. So this is the early days. I hope we have gotten rid of those, but there are still some out there. Okay, so these are my own wordings. I can't blame anyone else, but I state that there are 5 maturity levels here. And you are free to argue and question me. But I would say my experience from IFS cloud projects is that we are somewhere in box 2, maybe moving into box 3. We are far away from box 4. It doesn't mean that the cloud technology isn't there, because they are building stuff, they are rebuilding the old software with cloud technology. Containerized applications that could scale. They are building the new Arena interface. It's rebuilt, so you have to get in there to see exactly how far they've gotten. Because this cake is half-baked. And there's still a lot of good things in there. Still some clever things that you should go after when you are ready. The big issue is that in a cloud upgrade right now, you need to have knowledge. You need to find the individuals that can help you. Over here, we don't have any idea about who produced the software, who pushed the update to my iPhone yesterday night. We don't care, because it's just working. In our business with ERP, we need to find the individuals that can help us. And that tells me that it's not a mature cloud process. The cloud technology is actually ahead of the cloud processes. When we run Nordic Paper, which is probably the first upgrade to cloud in the world, you get into this build place that you probably heard about, and you request things. You request IFS to produce patches or new releases or refresh of environments. You request things through a ticket. And then 3 weeks later, nothing happened. And then we found out that there was no one allocated to take care of the ticket. So the process was a manual process behind the scene. And the big thing with cloud is that the manual processes are gone. But we are still here. Okay, now we've thought about it for a few minutes. Challenge me. Is it totally offline? Or out of bounds, or the golfers call it?
Well, I would agree with this. That you need both the processes and the technology to walk hand in hand to make this work.
Yeah.
And you immediately see it that it's a huge difference in how you make an agreement between a customer and the vendor depending on if whether you're buying a package of software or if you're actually buying a SaaS solution.
Yeah. So cloud comes with this, and when we enter into IFS Cloud, you will have the next release. You will have everything that is included in that release. You will have a roadmap. There will be new releases, and you have the opportunity of planning of how to consume the next release. But you have no say in what's coming and how much effort and money IFS is going to spend into that new release. I don't know if any one of you signed up for a cloud agreement yet, but cloud comes with a new business model, and they want to make it a 5-year subscription. They're even pushing for 7 years. But on the other hand, there is no commitment to how much development they are going to do during these 5 years. So you all are going to sign up for 5 years, and you don't know if there is any new innovation or any new software coming out. The only thing that they sort of your guarantee is that if competition is moving ahead, IFS also have to move ahead. That's the only guarantee you have. Okay, let's move on. You need to understand that IFS is on a journey to increase their company value. Cloud companies are evaluated on the stock market probably 10 times more than a software company, the same software company delivering on-premise. So this is the driving force. This is the driving force. It's like being on the the VIP section of ERP vendors. If you're not in cloud, you are not invited to the big guys. You have to be there. It's about the recurring revenue, and that has nothing to do with cloud. It's the business model. So they are enforcing the new business model when you go to cloud. You cannot use the old business model. That business model gives them higher margin, longer customer relationships and everything. You've seen this probably already. And it's not all bad, because you have the possibility of getting a predictable cost as well. But just as well as the vendors, IFS in this case, have their benefits, you need to think about your benefits, because you have also a possibility of getting the best out of IFS Cloud and the cloud architecture. So I asked my new friend ChatGTP, what is a cloud-first strategy for customers? What should you be looking at? And of course, it's good to get rid of hardware and get rid of things that you spend a lot of money with and you don't know when they go obsolete or when there's a new release coming out. So it's a predictability in cost. It could be a cost saver. But that equation doesn't really match, because the IFS gets higher margins, so someone has to pay that. You can figure out who is on the other end of that stick. You should do this as your preparation. You should find the reason for you to take this step. It could be getting rid of those upgrades, going to what we call an evergreen state. It could be reduced modification. It could be get rid of the hardware. It could be agility and scalability. But you will get really disappointed if you think that the new business agreement with IFS allows you to downgrade number of users, for instance. It doesn't. It allows you to upgrade or improve, but it doesn't give you that scalability. So when we are comparing with Netflix or a Spotify, you can unsubscribe in a month. But in the terms and conditions of IFS, it says that every penny has to be paid for the full time, no matter what. So, again, find your own reason. And don't forget Novacura Flow, because with Flow, you have an opportunity of designing and deciding yourself what is best used from IFS and what is best used from Novacura Flow that is easier and more agile than the big ERP system. So, one of the things that you need to do is actually open the box, find out what is the status of IFS Cloud. What's working, what's not, what can I expect in my future solution? And we can help you with that. And there are a lot of good things. They are producing new functionality. They are constantly improving the user interface. The build place has now a lot more tool sets to handle and administrate the environments, for instance. So they are building out. They started 21. We are now at 23, R1. It's the latest release. And we can clearly see that what was early days is improving. But still, you need to understand, don't expect everything to be sunny, happy. Everything will just come if you request it. IFS Cloud comes with some functionality, and it also comes without things. One thing that is lacking is SLAs. There is no SLA until you're live on cloud whatsoever. So if you're running a cloud project and you're requesting preparation for an upgrade, for a go live, for instance, there is no SLAs. So you don't get a date. You don't get a stamp saying, we can go live Monday. We close the business Friday. We prepare during the weekend. We get live Monday, as we traditionally do. They will request it as soon as their operation can manage it. There is no SLAs whatsoever until you're live. If you think about it, SLAs comes from the hardware infrastructure side, where they say we have 99.5% uptime. That's what you usually get, right? But that's when you're live. Before you're live, you get 0. So if you have an acceptance test, 10 consultants, 20 people in your organization waiting, you don't know if you're getting a refreshed environment or not. And this is just an example of where the cloud processes is immature. This is where you need help, and this is where you need to call us, and you need to find that guy who can help. Because we are still there, we need to escalate things like this. I'm not trying to sort of get you scared of moving there, because you are going to move there. You are going to get the benefits of it, but you don't need to have the struggle. You need to realize, and we need to work with the situation as it is right now. Okay. This is what I want you to think. Find your wanted position. How often do you want your solution and your organization to jump the hurdles? Who is going to be part of that? How do you want to treat the technical solution? Do you want to own it yourself? Do you want to work with a partner that facilitates this for you? Get some insight into IFS. What's the real status? What can you expect? Don't just believe the sales guy or woman coming to your office saying, if you sign here, you can start Monday. Sounds nice. Technically, yes, it's easy to get a new image. It's easy. It's like that. But that's not the problem. And then prepare. So, things to think about. You need to understand the technical solution. There are two alternatives with IFS. You can find your partner that controls the environments, and that is called remote hosting. You can assign that responsibility to IFS, then it's called IFS Managed Cloud. Then IFS runs the cloud processes, and then we have the problem with not reaching the databases and stuff, and then we also have the major problem with the non-SLA thing I talked about. You also need to think about your organization. When we are jumping, let's say you want to jump every 12 months. Who is testing? Who is verifying? How much work do you want to put into that? If we are reading release notes for 23R2, which comes out in October, are you going to do that? Do you want us to do that? Do you want to tap into our solution board that reads the release notes, for instance, to make smart decisions about what to include in the next release? Because if you don't do that, you will have to jump, but you don't take the goodies that actually comes from IFS every 6 months. So you need to find a clever way to grab the goodies. And then after go live, who's talking to the business? What is the next requirement they have? How can you handle that? Is that inside the next release? Or do you need to go to Novacura Flow, for instance, to solve that request? IFS Insight, cloud agreement. We touched upon that. Good thing Joachim from Oddfjell isn't here. It was going to be worse than just OData removing PLSQL. We touched about the SLAs. We touched about the 5-year stuff, recurring revenue. I'm also here to tell you that IFS will tell you that it's impossible to change the agreements. It's not. It's absolutely doable. They've said to us, we can give you SLAs in case by case. So if you are a customer, if you're about to sign, you have some power. And if you talk to other customers, you have more power together. And we can help you do that. It doesn't make sense to have 0 SLAs. Because that Nordic paper mill, that managing director asked me, shall we close the factory for 2 days or 2 weeks? What do you ask from me? I said, we don't know. Albin Ishad talked about OData. That's a real change. That's a real change. You need to take care of that. You don't need to wait until it's time to start a project. Prepare. So the other big message here is that don't enforce all the change at the same time. If you can get started, if you're on apps 10, you can get started with the new interface. You can introduce that to your organization before you take on the cloud version. Don't take all the changes at once. And think about this cadence. Think about how you will handle that. And let us help you. We can help you with this. You need a speaking partner in this transition. And it's about finding your solution, what's best for organization, your business, your value from this cloud upgrade. It's not about IFS valuation on the stock market or with a private equity company. It's about your business. And there are values in this transition where you can use Novacura Flow that you already have. Don't forget that. And again, there's no one telling you when to jump. You decide that. It's your pace, your organization, your readiness that decides that. We are currently starting projects quarter by quarter, and if we have 3,000 IFS customers in the world and we have 2,900 left to upgrade, this community will be looking for resources, and you will have a hard time finding resources, but we'll support you, and we hope to prioritize our Flow customers, of course. So don't hesitate to get in touch with us. Hopefully you have a good connection to someone in Novacura. Otherwise, come see me. We'll help you out. The preparation phase is important, and I just decided to put this in yellow. I think that if you already now are working with some kind of release plan for your organization, that's a big help. Thinking in a release plan scenario, how do we do that? How often can we do that? Who is involved? Is my process owners involved? Someone that could verify finance, supply chain, etc., whatever you are running, that this is a good version. We run our test scenarios. Things might be automated testing in the future, but you know how to do this. A release plan is the first step. Okay, so awfully quiet in here. Did I scare you off now?
It's a lot to absorb.
Do you have an experience with upgrades when a cloud is live?
Yeah, we have. Nordic Paper, we decided to first take them on, they were on 21 R2 when they started. Then we said in the plan, once we are live, we want to take a service update. That's one of the monthly packages. So we tried to do that, and that failed. And then we said, in the plan, first a service update, then a new release. Because it's really the second jump that is sort of proving that you're in that thinking. So we pushed that service update through with some help from IFS, individual skilled persons, and then we took an upgrade to 22 R2. So we managed that. And one of the reasons that we actually managed that was that there is a new tool set in BuildPlace where you can monitor, and you could actually now reverse things that isn't working. You can do that on major updates, but you can't do that on service updates. So that's why when they realized the first time that things were missing from the service update, we couldn't reverse it. So we had environments out of sync. Typical immatureness in cloud processes. And we corrected that, and then we took a big upgrade or a major release then. Because you're right, that's the first thing when you're actually in cloud mode.
How did that go, the main?
It went according to plan. It's a technical update. They didn't take too many sort of new functions into play, but it worked. Yep. So, no intention of scaring you off, especially since the only way to go is this way. But just be aware, get some friends in there, and make sure that you do it very consciously and be aware of your drivers. Are we done, or shall I continue?
We are late.
Okay, then we are done. Thank you so much.